the Smart Woman Podcast, a podcast series brought to you by Gabriela Mueller Coaching International. Your useful dose of coaching advice to help you get what you want more often with less trouble. Gabriela dives into big questions about what matters to women like you in the workplace. It's concrete, focused, and fun. Gabriela's coaching impacts thousands of women worldwide. Welcome to the Smart Woman Podcast. Now your host, Gabriela Mueller.
Hello, welcome women from around the world. You are my favorite tribe. This is the Smart Woman Podcast, and I am your coach and your host, Gabriela Mueller Mendoza. So welcome. In this series of podcasts, you are going to be getting ideas, tips, tricks, strategies, stuff that works to help you solve challenges you might have, especially in the workplace. So if you are interested in getting more of what you want, more often, and with less trouble, chicas, you are in the right place. Welcome to the Smart Woman Podcast. In today's juicy episode of the Smart Woman Podcast, we will cover why and how is it that we can get to have more women like you, smart women at the top of all the different industries and sectors, and how we're doing this and why it is important. And then I'm going to give you a big piece, which is executive presence fundamentals, like the 101 on executive presence and the number one killer habit that can kill it in few seconds. It's aimed at women in the workplace, although a lot of the skills and abilities we will cover are going to be good definitely for your personal life. Whether it's you talking to your kid's teacher or your neighbor, or you are having a negotiation at the table, you are asking for a raise or getting that promotion, all this stuff is going to be applicable, easy to remember, and I'm all about taking action. I will always get you to think about self-awareness, then give you a model or two, tricks and tips and strategies, and then I'm going to make a call for action. That's going to be our classy and sassy way to roll this series of podcasts. I work with a lot of women in governments, reaching the highest tiers of leadership, and that's exciting to think about that. Or more and more girls getting into school and getting education so that they become really productive members of their society or the community, whatever they are. So I think about the potential, and it's an exciting moment. There is a momentum, and I'm proud to be part of these times. Having said that, let me give you 2 or 3 elements about my background and how this podcast is supported in the information that I'm going to give you, tips and strategies that I'm going to share with you. You may notice my accent. I am originally from Mexico City, small little town in Latin America, and I live in Central Europe. And so you're going to be getting this Latin European combo in this podcast. And occasionally I'll be referring to you as chicas. And chicas would be the word that I would personally use in Spanish to describe smart women with good vibe. So, chicas. I'm all about encouraging and empowering women around the world to make this a better place. If you don't know my work yet, you will. I still invite you to visit my website, www.gabrielamueller.com. Follow me on Twitter with Gabriela Mueller or Instagram, Coach Gabriela as well. I'm also a mother, and my biggest teachers are my 2 teenagers. They keep me real, they keep me grounded, and if you are a parent, you know what I mean. Before my coaching life, I used to be an IT telecom person. So I invested 12 years of my corporate life in blue chip companies, North America and Europe, specifically IT and telecom. And started with the techie stuff in early years, and then in management later, sales, consulting, all that kind of stuff. Then I made that shift and I became an executive coach, trainer, and speaker. I do that already for 15 years in over 80 countries, empowering thousands of professionals, mostly women, around the world. I'm a traveler. I love salsa dancing, And chocolate is always part of my trainings and forums and speaking arrangements. Everywhere I go, I take Swiss chocolate with me, and I take morning jogs, and my coffee is not to be missed in the morning. So I want you to think for a moment about a woman, a female role model, a female leader that you respect, that you admire. It could be somebody you know personally, maybe in your life, in your family, your organization, or maybe somebody that we all know and she's famous or was or is famous. So I want you to think about that smart, powerful woman, and you're going to see some similarities of that and what I'm going to describe. And perhaps that smart woman you are also thinking about is yourself. So here is a couple of things that I have seen in action, the best practices. I have coached these women and I learned from them anything from the head of state, the CEO, the best teacher in school, a social entrepreneur, a business owner, a world leader. A smart woman doesn't pursue perfection because she knows it's annoying, it's overrated, and she strives instead at excellence, for example. She knows that life is beyond a job or more than a relationship or money or material stuff. She really defines her own version of success. Smart women see men as team members, not as the enemy. So that's great. And at the same time, they don't want to wear that man's hat to lead or talk or walk like men. They actually lead from their feminine power. A smart woman also knows that she is entitled and deserves to go after her boldest goals and dreams. Those ones that are almost make her nervous or it's a bit too scary to think about achieving them. So she goes and she knows that she's entitled to have those bold goals and go after them. At the same time, she knows the rules of the game. And if it's a game, she wants to know the rules and play it well. And she's ready to shake the status quo when she needs to, or redefine the rules when there is a chance to do so. She's competitive, and at the same time, she supports other women. And I know that for a lot of us, this is a hot topic, so we'll be dedicating only one episode to this one specific point. I know there is so much to explore there. A smart woman doesn't sweat small stuff, and she lets go when it's needed, whether it's a topic that is draining her energy, a bad project, or a relationship that is not adding value, and she lets go. And she follows her intuition. She's able to tune in her inner wisdom to make decisions. She knows that it's not always based on information and data, though listening to her inner voice and intuition is key. And she knows what she's worth of and what her ideas and value bring to the table. And she's not afraid of asking what she needs and saying what she wants. She's updating herself and her skills, and she's in the continuous process of learning, receiving feedback, asking for help. All these things are part of the package. She's aware that there is always a time, a place, and a way to do things to get results. And so strive the balance between being a nice, approachable person and at the same time being seen as the person who can deliver, who can do the job, a contributor and a competent individual beyond her own gender. So all these things, and I know every time I ask people in my seminars, give me more, they would mention attributes like trustworthiness, integrity, authenticity, being a good communicator and listener, being in empathy, having emotional intelligence. All these things are all important. And due to lack of time, we just won't go into more of that. Though if you want to add things to this list, please by all means, send me a note about this. So now that you know more about me, why this podcast is what it is, and now we're on the same page about talking about smart women and smart chicas like you. We're going to now proceed to this other juicy part of the episode. Talk about executive presence. When you thought about that role model, that female role model I asked you to have in mind, or yourself, think about how these people, these women come across, how they shine, how they bring that energy, that presence to the table, when they enter the room, when they get to that networking event, how they walk, how they talk. And that presence when it comes to people in the workplace, we're going to call this executive presence. So I've researched a lot about this topic, and I'm a research freak. So everything that I'm going to tell you in today's episode and the ones to come is a combination of these two things. Research from serious and good proven resources that, by the way, you are going to see on the links below or under my website, and 15 years of coaching experience, hands-on, really working with these female leaders around the world. At this point, I'm going to present to you this very simple pie model of 3 elements of executive presence. And I want you to reach out and grab a piece of paper, a blank piece of paper, and something to write down with. Go, run. I'll give you 3 seconds. 3 sweet seconds. 3, 2, 1. Okay, great. So draw a circle in front of you and divide it into 3 pieces. Now, write in the first piece the word package. I will explain just a little bit later what it means. Second is going to be exposure. And then the third is going to say know-how. So package, exposure, and know-how. Package is everything that I see about you. The moment you show up and I see you, the first moment that I see you, everything is your verbal, non-verbal communication, your appearance, your outfit, what you decided to bring visually to that moment. That's part of the package, okay? The second part is the exposure. Think of it of the set of behaviors and decisions that you make to interact with your stakeholders and to let your work and your value shine. So are you a networker? Do you sometimes find easy or difficult to build relationships, to deal with conflict or pressure, stress? How do you express your ideas in a meeting? It's about how you make those strategic decisions to build relationships with your stakeholders. And this is a set of behaviors that impact the result in a different way. How is that spotlight shining on you and the value that you add? And finally, the last part is your know-how on your skills. This is your area of expertise. I'm not gonna dive into that because I'm assuming you know your content. If you're an IT person, you know the technicalities, the technologies that keep you updated. If you are a lawyer, you know the terms and laws updated to the moment, and you keep yourself in the self-updating process. So that's the third. If I ask you to tell me which one you think is the number one element that impacts the leadership and executive presence perception of all these leaders when it comes to reaching their next level. Is it the package? Is it the knowledge, perhaps? That means their own know-how? Or perhaps is that spotlight on the value? What do you think? So if you are like me, I used to think that it was only one, that it's just the hard work and the know-how. And it was my first years of IT and telecom until I saw that, hey, there is more to it. So research confirms the following. It's a combination of the 3, though primarily it's package and exposure. You're right. It's not only what you say, how you say it, which is essential, it's also the timing, the strategic decision of how and where and when you bring along those ideas and that presence. And of course, when the time is the right one, then of course your know-how and competences also show up. So remember that I said I'm all about action? Well, now this is about it. Raising awareness and taking action. If you were to be brutally honest with yourself, give yourself a number that goes from 1 to 10, 10 being the top absolute mastery level, in each of these 3 elements. How would you consider your skills, your package at the moment? Remember, verbal, non-verbal, your exposure, the spotlight that is shining on you at the moment in your career, in your workplace. Now, choose one of these 3 elements that you think that is going to have the biggest impact should you work on it. Which one is the one that is going to impact your outcomes the best and the fastest way if you were to polish it, improve it, and work on it? Is it the package? Is it the exposure? Is it the skills? good news is that you are in the right place to work on the package and exposures, because when it comes to skills, my advice is continue self-updating yourself in your own area. So I'm going to give you now the opportunity to choose one, and then of course your second one. Now, before I wrap up today's episode, let me tell you that we're going to be connected as we move along to that second, third, fourth episode. And I want to give you one tip that it's essential when it comes to the package and exposure, and more concretely with verbal, non-verbal communication that is going to get you further. This is something that I want you to start thinking about for your next meeting. As you work in the office tomorrow, as you raise your hand to speak, even if you have small little interactions in your social environment, think about this one thing. Dun dun dun, are you ready, smart women out there? So the number one killer habit that can kill your executive presence in seconds is fast speed, meaning moving fast, talking fast, walking fast. Any of those things in meetings, presentations, especially in key moments where your presence needs to shine and you have few seconds to get across your ideas, or maybe to make a first impression, or to sound really confident in a meeting or presentation, voila, those are the moments. Moving slowly, it's going to be always better. People who move fast will sound and look more nervous, less decisive, less confident, less competent. So less of all the stuff we reviewed at the beginning of the episode, right? So what you want to do is slow down. Like the song, the one that is actually out there, number one, Despacito, which is the Spanish word for slowly. So think about this for your next meeting. Tomorrow, you're ready to get into that meeting. Instead of running into that door and stumbling or moving fastly and taking your seat, what you want to do is slow down. You have to move, you have to raise your hand, you have to say something, slow down. And of course, you want to practice. This is not something that is just going to simply happen just like that. And to demonstrate this point, I want to make a little 10-second demo of what I just said before, and I'm just going to speed up as if I was trying to be more effective, and I want you to hear the effect of my voice when I do that. So here is my name, this is Gabriela Mueller. I'm just going to tell you that speed is actually not very good for your speech and the perception of your executive presence, because it's not going to actually make you sound or look really competent. Oof. Did you hear that? How did that person sound? Did you sound competent and confident and trustworthy? I doubt it. So, my friends, powerful, smart women out there, chicas, slow down. In key moments, fast speed is going to be the number one killer of your executive presence. So, take it and apply it at the best. You know, whether you're working on your package, exposure, or skills. I leave you with this and with one quote that I absolutely love. What you want is on the other side of fear. Exactly. Your boldest goals are there on the other side of fear. So I'm really looking forward to our next episode where we're going to dive into even more strategies and ideas that are going to get you more of what you want, more often, with less trouble. Resources on the links below or under my website, www.gabrielamueller.com. And yes, let's connect. Twitter, Gabriela Mueller. Instagram, Coach Gabriela Mueller. And if you like it and get value, please share. Thanks for being here, and until the next episode of the Smart Woman Podcast, I wish you a successful day. Hasta la vista.